Morning. What I'm going to try and do in this video is show you how to remove a headlamp without damaging any of these bolts, without having to cut any of the bolts, and without having to call in a professional. So the reason I'm removing this headlamp, although it's not important, is because the connections inside have melted. I need to resolder a new connection on, and rather than doing it in situ, I'd rather do it on a table. Now, the items you're going to need for doing this piece of work is a spray of WD-40. I've used WD-40. I do have GT86. Might work as well, but as I've got WD-40, I'll use that. Ideally with a straw. You need a 10mm spanner to remove one of the bolts on the lamp, and a T27 Torx to remove the three other fittings that we'll look at in a bit more detail. So there's three fittings that look like this. One here, one down in the bottom there, and then one down here near the horn. I don't need to touch the other lamp today, but I have loosened them as per this procedure, just in case I ever need to get that one out. The other thing you're going to need is a lot of patience. So what's the problem, and why do these things snap, or why do they break? So as you can see from this fitting, I'll just get a screwdriver. We've got one bolt that goes all the way through, and towards the bottom we've got a captured nut in this flimsy piece of metal. Somewhere around here on the bolt there's some Loctite. So for those that have just gone gung-ho and just tried to open this with either a ratchet or some sort of electric drill or impact wrench or electric screwdriver, all it's going to do is twist the nut and bend the metal fittings. Same with each of them. This one's a bit more problematic because you can't get to the fittings at the bottom, but you can see them on this one and you can see them on the other side. So what you have to do, and I did start this yesterday before my part came, is liberally all over squirt them all with WD-40. The one at the bottom's a lot harder to get to at the back. I've only got one hand available, but if you had both hands, I'd suggest you turn the straw to the back, aim as much as you can to the screws at the back, and also get your fingers wet and rub the back of the bolt as well, just to make sure that it's all soaked. Then what you want to do is go for a cup of tea, go and have your breakfast, and come back later. Ideally maybe the next day. I waited for about 15 minutes before I then proceeded to do the next step. So the next step, let's get your T27 piece, insert it into the screw. Before you say remove these, I know I can remove these, but it's just one other thing I can break. So while I don't need to, I'm not going to. And then very gently you want to unscrew it, maybe 1/8 of a turn, and then tighten it up about 1/8 of a turn, and just keep doing that very slowly. Eventually you'll feel it snap, as in where the Loctite has then come away from the nut and the bolt, and you'll be able to screw it a little more. But don't go nuts yet, just keep forward and back, forward and back. Continue to do that from each side. Do each side one at a time, and slowly forward and back. There's no point taking one bolt out and removing one if you can't get to the other two. So I like to just do them methodically, all one at a time, forward and back, forward and back. Same for this one. Now this one is a lot harder to do, and I was going to give in and get a ratchet or some sort of electric device, but instead I just used two hands on the screwdriver, and I really went for it, and it probably moved 1/8 of a turn, and then I moved it back again. I just continue to do that very slowly, and keep adding WD-40. Don't be afraid to keep adding WD-40. If we just go back to this top one, you can see as it keeps going, I'd probably get about 4 turns and then it would stick. So I'd have to put more WD-40 on, and then I'd close it up again, and then I'd open it again. The back here would continue to get dirty and covered in grime. So that was the reason for the toothbrush, is so that I could just gently get rid of all of the grime of each area here, so it wouldn't then go back into the nut. You could use a rag if you wanted to, and then just spray with WD-40 again. And again, just keep slowly easing it out. A couple of turns at a time, a couple of turns back, a couple of turns time, a couple of turns back. Now, as I say, if you were just tempted just to go full turn with either an electric device or a ratchet, what you would do is you wouldn't break the seal between the Loctite and the nut. You would just bend that nut and damage this capture area, and the nut would just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. Why not much of a problem on these two? That bottom one would be a problem because you can't get your hand behind the back. And then eventually, as you can see, the whole thing comes off. So all in all, it's probably taken me, without the weight for the WD-40 to take hold. Just gently move this, I've only got one hand. Okay, so a bit more. Yeah, without the WD-40 take hold, probably took me 3 to 5 minutes per bolt. As you can see, look, there's that Loctite on that nut, and if you don't break that, and if you don't crack it, you're just going to turn that nut and it will just keep turning and turning and turning and turning. So the idea is forward and back, nice and slow, and the nut will come out as one. You can see here as well, this is clipped to the chassis, this is clipped to the lamp. So once I've removed all 3 bolts, because I'm taking this out and I might be out for an hour or so, I don't want these to accidentally fall out. So I'm going to put the nut back in through the nut, the bolt back in through the nut, just to hold it in case it gets knocked or falls down into the engine bay. Now when you add these back in, tighten them back up. When you refit your lamp, your new one, or you fixed your old one, or whatever you're doing, as you can see, goes in nicely all the way through to the bottom, and that's it. I wouldn't suggest adding any more Loctite onto it. Just perhaps for the next week or so, just go around and just make sure they're all nipped up. As I say, I don't need to remove the other lamp, but I have sprayed them with WD-40 and I have broke the seal of the Loctite. So I've just gone left and right a couple of times, just a couple of minutes, taken the bolt maybe halfway out and screwed it back up again tight. So that if I do have to do that in the future, I don't have to go through the pain of spending another 10 minutes to try and undo the bolts. If we just go to the bottom one, yes, this was the worst, and this one took a lot longer, just purely because I think I couldn't get as much WD-40 in around the back. But as you can see now, nicely twists out, and I'm not going to take it all the way out because I just need to support it with my other hand, but no problem there. Putting it back in, nicely locks up, so the bolts haven't been damaged, the nuts haven't been damaged, and same for this side here. See the bolt going all the way through, all the way out, and all the way back again. So I hope you found that useful. It's taken me a little while to do it, and I've seen lots of videos of people saying it's taken them hours, or they've brought in a mechanic, or they've had to cut a bolt. But it is just a little perseverance, a lot of WD-40, lots of patience, but it shouldn't take you any more than maybe, I don't know, if you had half an hour minimum for WD-40 weight overnight, actually getting the bolts out, 2 or 3 minutes a bolt, and then the lamp should come out quite easily, obviously, once you've undone all the connectors and everything else that you need to do, which I've not done yet. Okay, thanks for watching.